and encourage our young people. Our young people mean so much to me. You are the future of Detroit. So today is all about you. We're going to turn up today. We're going to have fun today. We're going to get hype, right? That's right. We have a dynamic panel for you all. So today is all about you. We want you all to ask any question that you have. We have a nice panel who can help you all with the questions for today. So we're going to get started. We have two student representatives representing Central, Mr. James and Aisha. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. James, who is going to introduce our principal. So go right ahead, Mr. James.
All right, without further ado, let me welcome Principal Stephen McGee.
I've been here for 6 years. When I first came, the graduation rate was 52%. Now we're at 74%. The dropout rate was at 48%. Now we're at 14.9. ACT score was 11.38, and we're at closer to 15 now. So we are continually progressing and moving forward. I'm going to kind of step out of the way because I really want this to be about you. It's not about me. They didn't come here for Mr. McGee today. I promise you.
Two student representatives here, Miss Aisha and Mr. James. If you have questions, just raise your hand. Don't jump out and blurt any questions. Just raise your hand. They will come over to you with the microphone, and you can ask any question or comment that you have, okay? All righty, y'all. All right, so we want to touch on hip-hop because we know you all listen to hip-hop a lot. So we want to pose the first question to the panel. Does hip-hop cause our young people, our youth, to gravitate to the drug game and do things they otherwise would not do? And we're going to start with Trick Trick.
Excuse me. All right, I believe hip-hop has an impact. Music overall has an impact over mentality and, mentality and spirit. You know, you listen to your favorite song. It's some songs that make people cry, some songs that make people laugh, like that one. Some songs that make people, you know what I'm saying, turn up, and then, you know, music motivates, so I wouldn't run away from saying that it would have an effect on being influential enough to coach someone over to a lifestyle that they think they want. I mean, you can look, you can see it. It's in the face. It's all over the gram and everywhere, so you can see it. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And then also, if it's a panelist that does not want to respond to a question, that's fine. You can pass, but we want to make sure everyone does have an opportunity to answer. Ms. Jackson.
I'll yield.
You sure?
Yeah. He said so much, but I think ultimately what you put in you is what's going to come out of you. And so if you allow your spirit to receive some of the things that you're hearing, all of the negative stuff that's out here, then that's what you're going to produce. Even if it's subconscious, if you're constantly putting that into your spirit, that's what's going to come out of you. And so, you know, I think it's like anything else. We have to use our common sense. We have to be led. You have to use your discernment and make the right decision about what it is you allow into your space, into your psyche. And some of this music is extremely negative.
Right. Well,
Yeah, not to take the responsibility off of the music, but I grew up on hip hop. And when I grew up listening to hip hop music, the artists were saying what they were living, right? So it's not like they heard a song about being a gangster or selling crack or whatever, and then they started doing it and rapping about it. They were rapping about what their parents were doing, you know, what was going on in their schools or their churches or their neighborhood or community. So I think the music has a role, but that's too easy, right? I heard it in the song, so I did it. That's just a little too easy. I saw a video, so I start stripping. That's just a little too easy. just a little too easy, right? I think the real deal is this. You know, my mama was a crackhead, or my dad sold dope, or my uncles are gangsters, or that people on my block got me into the game. You know, somebody you knew introduced you to it. Where you lived, where you went to school, where your church was. You ran into somebody who put you on. And so beyond the music, you know, talking about your spirit and what you experience, you need to check the people you experience and who you hang with. I tell people all the time, you know, if you hang with folks, you're going to end up picking up something from them. Now, the question is, what do they do and what you want to pick up?
I'm asked this question a lot, and more than half the time when I'm asked this question, my mind goes into two different directions. First, my mind goes into thinking that from things I have seen from hip-hop music and certain things that are said, I have seen actions where I know that the music caused those things to happen, such as even my record. At a time when I recorded the record in my hood, the city was at a very major beef at that time. It was a big east side, west side beef, and people were losing their lives and everything. So when I made the song in my hood, I made the record to bring every neighborhood together. So when I have been out and I've performed and I've seen crowds get into fights and certain things have happened, I looked at myself and I questioned it. But I also remember that Jay-Z said something that was very important. He said, Scarface the movie did more than Scarface the rapper to me. So saying that is like, do we judge movies and films the same way we judge hip-hop?
right.
Because we let our kids see all kind of movies. I'll take my son to see a Terminator movie. Terminator killed 45 people in a movie. Does that mean my son is gonna get up and go get a gun and go kill 45 people? I don't think so. So I think it's all about, you know, we can enjoy the music, but such as the pastor said, you have to be smart enough to have your own knowledge and know what to do and what not to do. I don't think music should be held accountable for anyone's actions, nor should a movie.
I think, you know, we all have to be role models in certain ways. But at the same time, music is just that music. So as was said before, you can use it to motivate you. Sometimes it makes you happy, sometimes it makes you sad. But it's also art. And art doesn't always imitate life. Some people, it really does. But that's not always the reality. And so I think you have to take it for what it is. It's art.
I agree with what Miss Chanel and Uncle Trick was saying. My mother and my father is a pastor, but my mom, she's a church woman. And when Lil Jon was in his era, y'all remember Lil Jon was coming out with hits. Well, maybe y'all don't remember, but Lil Jon was coming out with hit after hit after hit. And when I first got my license, my dad had just bought me a Yukon. I got me some 20s on it, got my windows tinted. And I wasn't even, you would think it was a dude in the car, okay? But it was just a little church girl. I'm a church girl, and I'm not ashamed to say it. But when I turned on that Lil Jon, I would drive like I was some type of criminal. And so having said that, when my mama would get in the car, she'd be like, the blood of Jesus, turn that off, that's mess. And so having said that, I think it depends on the individual. And like Miss Chanel said, if you let that into your space, and if you're weak in that situation that you're listening to, it may complement your struggle rather than complement your strength. So I think it's very important. So if you're struggling with being drunk in love, maybe you just gotta kind of lay low on being drunk in love. Or if you're struggling with being behind a partition, maybe you gotta be easy. So like also my friend said, K. Deasy said, it's television too. You know, you have all these young people who are blowing up schools, learning how to kill people and all that good stuff, or all that, not good stuff, but crazy stuff. But having said that, it does put imagery into your mind. And I'm currently studying psychology. And when you plant a seed, either you follow through with it, you can give life to a seed. And if you follow through with it, it could come from what you're watching. So just make sure you're not taking on the struggle of someone else. And make sure you're also also not putting your struggle on somebody else, because just because music can be an issue for you, that doesn't mean it's an issue for me.
I'll say that those are all really good comments. And like Chanel said, what you do put in, it will come out at some level. It may not be as overt or blatant, but at some level it's gonna come out. Some things are subliminal, and then some things are a little bit more. So I really don't like to blame music, because music is one thing, but in a whole 24 hours of a day, you're gonna hear music, you're gonna see movies. It's the bus driver that was cursing at somebody. You saw the news, 3 people got shot. You walked down the street, you saw something crazy. It's stuff around us all the time that music is a little portion of it. So as the pastor said, we have to watch our people that are around us. More importantly, it's not necessarily the music, it's who we look up to. So the question is, are you looking up to the people who produce such negative music? Are you looking up to the people on a block that's selling the dope? Are you looking up to people that are toting guns? Or are you looking up to people, such as these great people here on this panel, that are doing some great things in life? So it's a matter of making sure that you're looking up to the right people.
Okay, I'm having a little technical difficulty. Definitely agree with what all the other panelists are saying. I think one thing just to kind of add on to that is to make sure, you know, similar to what Pastor Bullock was saying, I grew up on hip hop as well. The interesting thing is that we had, and I'm not gonna lie, like I was watching the video the other day, 357, I was like, damn, we was kind of off the chain. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like our music, we were singing Kumbaya, just some live beats. Like, that's not what we were doing, right? Like, we had NWA, we had Two Live Crew, but there was a balance to that, though. We also had, you know, Brand Nubians, De La Soul. I mean, we still had a X-Clan, the Consciousness. I mean, we still had a mix in that. And so the challenge is really for us to be able to have a diverse palette of music, because music is a beautiful thing. It can motivate you. It can make, I mean, you can have a day when your boo done made you mad. You can listen to something that you like, yep, I need that. Like that new Jill Scott that just came out. Jill hit my heart right here. So music can motivate you. It can also have you do some crazy things. So what can you do to make sure that you're putting things in your system that makes you think in a different way? On top of the fact, we still got to be conscious of the music that is going out. Like that song, The Love with the Cocoa, I hate that song. I hate it with a passion. I hate it because of crack cocaine is what has killed our community, right? And here we are is bumping like I hate that song. And when I have young people who I've seen that their mothers are struggling from crack cocaine and they jam into it, that's a problem, y'all. So just be mindful of what you are putting out there, what is out there, and what you bumping your head to, because people looking at you while you bumping that. So be mindful of that.
I'm gonna start off by saying it's funny when I'm on the radio and we play a new song. We may play Trap Queen and they call in and bash me. They like, my daughter ain't no Trap Queen, but they have to understand that this is their job. This is artists. Just like if you're a doctor, if you're a nurse, your job is to help people out. When you're making music, their job is to make music, no matter what it is, no matter what to say. And that's why I say I feel like it starts in the homes, because they have to know the difference between entertainment and business. Just like if we is just talking about smoking, we is getting paid to smoke. If somebody is doing this, they're getting paid to drink this type of liquor, this lean. And for the youth, y'all have to realize that y'all not getting paid to do it. If y'all just doing it, y'all just doing it. Like everybody, I'm just being truthful. Everybody has that one friend, maybe in high school, that all they do is smoke all day. They wake up, they smoke. The second day they smoke. Next week they smoke. A year from now, what they gonna be doing?
Smoking.
My point exactly.
All right, y'all. So for the next round, what we're gonna do is, we're gonna move to that 1 second. We're going to just allow 3 people. You can raise your hand if you want to answer the question, because it will take too long for everyone to go down. So DJ, Gifted, hit it.
Damn. Y'all seen that video?
All right, now we want to just more so talk about the objectification of women. And we're going to kick this off with Chanel.
I would counter a little bit and say that, yes, hip-hop does a disservice. Some hip-hop, a lot of hip-hop that's out there right now is doing a disservice. Because I guess I would ask, what about social responsibility? The gentleman, the young man who was talking to us when we were in a line. He asked a question of me and Reverend Bullock, and I remember responding to him that, look, you know, this is one team, one dream. When you all leave these doors, you all black kids to mainstream America. You understand what I'm saying? And that said, we have an obligation, a social responsibility to each other. So to me, respectfully, it's not okay for Nicki Minaj, who, God bless her, to say, well, I'm an entertainer and this is what I do. What about the seed that you're putting in the ground? What about the people who are taking that in, who don't have the ability to discern, who don't have parental leadership, who don't have leaders like Professor McGee or Principal McGee? To me, I'm not suggesting that those folks have to live their life for every child, but they do, as black leaders, because that's what they are, have a responsibility to be cognizant of what they're putting out and the effect that it's having on our children.
That's right. That's right. Any other panelists want to respond? Bullock?
Right? Why do they want to be Nicki? That's the question. Because if black women didn't want to be Nicki, she would cease to exist immediately. Right? And I'll close with this. Do you know why black women want to be Nicki? Because Nicki Minaj is a 400-year installment on what white supremacy has said black women were. And until we get down to the bottom of our own objectification of ourselves, we'll never be able to deal with our music.
That's right. Kira.
I think too that we, as today's generation, like Pastor was saying, we need to educate ourselves on where we come from. If you Google Sarah Bartman today, you'll see that she was a slave woman and she had a huge rear end. And back in the day, they used to show her around and put her in freak shows and pick at her because she had a huge butt. And now, like, that was something that she was treated like an animal, like she was not human. And today, we're making that the thing to do. We're taking pictures on social media, posing and showing our butt. If that's who it, let your husband enjoy that. Let him have more cushion for the pushing and that be it. But you don't gotta put that on the internet for everybody. And I think it's just, it boils down to having respect for yourself, and then most of all, not being ignorant. The term ignorant, it means to lack knowledge. We use it to attack someone, but if the truth is the truth, then that's what it is. If you're not in the knowing of something, then that can also keep you in bondage. It can also make you a slave. So I think that we, as today's generation, need to step up and with absolute audacity and authority, showing the world that we're not an ignorant generation. No, we still read the book. Everything that we learn is not on social media. We actually can pick up a book in a newspaper. We actually still do know how to research. I didn't just go to school because mama told me to go to school. No, I'm not turning out to just be a weed head. I'm going to be an educated African American. And I think once we do that, that one thing is one way to show that we respect ourselves. But you all should Google Sarah Bartman.
That's right. All right, we're gonna go one more song, then we're gonna open it up to our students to ask questions to the panel on hip hop, then we're gonna move to another segment. DJ. All right, so we want to take that leading into violence, and let's let Sean touch on this one. Do you think the glorification of violence in music increases the tendency for young African Americans to resolve their differences in a violent manner?
I think that in the same vein with the other questions, it's a piece of a whole. I think that what we promote, that's what sells. It's basic advertising. I think that Apple does a great job of advertising their computers so they just seem like they're better than the rest. A lot of times what we're doing is advertising how to solve issues in the black community through violence. We're basically doing what Apple does for computers. We're doing that with violence with African Americans. We're leaving up to a particular standard of how we're supposed to resolve things and what's considered manly and what's considered tough or what's considered a way of being a punk. So a lot of times you hear people that don't rap about a lot of violent things, they're considered punks. Take Drake. So a lot of times, Drake's soft, he's singing. They try to go in on Drake a lot because he doesn't necessarily talk about a lot of violence as if that's some type of standard. So I think the promotion is definitely something that enables people to want to solve issues that way through violence.
All right, let's turn it over to the young people.
My question for Trick and all the artists over here. A lot of people look up to you because of your rapping and what you rapped about, but still they say, people are influenced to do bad things from your rapping. So do you think that would be an upcoming album, but for you to be talking about how you doing good now, how the good things that you are doing for Detroit, You got a singer right there. I mean, my first time seeing her, I think, was at the Kellogg's competition. You ever did a Kellogg's competition? Yeah, you got a singer right there. Y'all could do an album. You think?
So are you asking him to do a positive
Yeah,
song?
a positive,
Trick,
album.
you want a positive?
If you check up on my music, every album that I've ever done, I've always recorded positive music. I have I've recorded gospel music before. I don't just rap, I produce too. So I produce all kind of music, and a lot of music about change, a lot of music about seeking some form of spirituality, some kind of way. But see, that ain't the record that I'm gonna take to DJ BJ, because DJ BJ ain't gonna play that, And if I'm trying to sell some records, I'm gonna take him the record I think he wanna play. Well, in my past, I would take him the record that I think he would wanna play. Now, that's my nephew, I love him, but he know I don't care nothing about no radio, so I'm gonna make it how I wanna make it now. So, you're right, it is a chance that in my, matter of fact, it's not a chance, it is, because the album I'm working on now is about respect.
Okay, Deezy, you want to respond?
Yeah, I want to respond to what he said. Well, I'm the same way as Trick. Every project that I put out, I make sure that I make a positive record. If you go back and check any of my albums, I have a positive record on there. I also did a record a couple of years ago, probably about 2 or 3 years ago. I did with the city council and the Black Caucus Foundation. That record is called Be You, and it's featuring a young R&B singer named Princeton. Far as like I had said before, for me it's a tricky situation when we kind of had this kind of conversation, because even myself, I grew up on Joy Road. My family is from this whole neighborhood. My grandmother, everybody still live over here right now. And for me coming up, I came up in the streets. And some years ago, I was the guy that when I came around, you would want to go the other way. So I'm saying that to say that music for me has changed my life, period. Getting into the music game and seeing some success and traveling and seeing that it's a bigger picture, those things changed my life. I'm a totally different guy than I used to be. You understand what I'm saying? So for me, it's difficult when we had these kind of conversations, because not only did music change my life, my homies is here with me. They ain't in the streets. You see what I'm saying? So for me, it's a very difficult situation, because some of those negative things have turned into a positivity on this side. So
I was asking, like, the recording artist, do you think your music is helping or tearing down Detroit youth?
Again, for me, like I said, the record in my hood, like literally, when I wrote that record, I was trying to bring people that were separated together, but on the hood note, because that's what I was. I'm from the hood. So when I made that record, I was bringing everyone together. So even me, I had chills up my spine before being on stage and seeing 20,000 people going crazy for me. I mean, they going nuts, and they not even thinking. At that point in time when my record is on, they all slapping and high-fiving each other, and they all from different neighborhoods. So for me, that's why I say, like, for me it's different, because I see something different. I look at it and say, just like now, my crew is together. I got friends that's from the east side. I had a party last night on the east side. Do you know a couple of years ago, if I would have tried to have a party on the east side, they would have did something to me. So therefore, what I'm saying is, that's a hard question because I feel like my music has brought people together. You see what I'm saying? It used to be a time, now y'all don't understand it because it's cool for y'all now. But some years ago when y'all all were children, you talking about east side and west side beefing for real? It was going down out there. And it wasn't until after Wipeout and Blade Icewood, which is my brother, lost their lives, that I said to myself, I need to make a record to try to bring us all back together, and I succeeded. So for me, I look at it like I bring it together.
All right. We want to move now to police brutality. Now, how many of you all have heard of, and I'm sure you all heard of, Trayvon Martin, Eric Gardner, Michael Brown? All right, we want to touch on that, and we're going to kick this off with Summer. Summer Woods, can you talk about what you think happened in the case of Michael Brown and Eric Gardner and the message that it sends to our young, our black youth? The lack of charges.
That's a loaded question.
All of them are going to be loaded, you all.
I know, right? I'm like, dang, that's complex. You know, I think it's tough. I mean, it's tough for a couple of reasons. One, police brutality is real in our neighborhoods, in our communities, and not to negate those at all because it is real. I think, unfortunately what happens in a lot of these cases, especially when you're talking about these three cases that are so highly, there's so many other cases too, right? Like Renisha McBride, I mean, there's so many other cases, and when you look at the root of it, a lot of it comes down to some of the things of how people perceive us as people of color. Something historically for the last 400 and something years that we've been battling as people of color and people's perception of the black man and what the black man represents or what the black woman represents, but especially in terms of our black men, that people still have these perceptions. Sometimes it's from music, sometimes it's from TV, all these different images that are portrayed that sometimes people that don't look like the majority of us, they're not used to being exposed to us. And so what happens in that is that it still continues to perpetuate people's sense of insecurities, which then that sense of insecurity is how you have these things that happen. It's a sense of power. And it's not just white on black. I mean, you have black police brutality on black. I mean, it is a situation that I think that we still have to continue. The disconnect for me sometimes, though, is that I'm not sure if you all understand how important those cases are. I'm not sure that you all don't understand the idea of systemic racism in the things in which that is. And when we say systemic racism and people say, why we gotta talk about slavery? Why we gotta talk? Because all of those things play a role into the secular issues within our community in terms of education. It's reasons why our education system is messed up. It's reasons why we have the projects. There's reason why transportation is messed up. A lot of those are systemic racism that exist, and we ignore those and don't think those are important. So I challenge all of you that you should understand what that is. You should look at how you are perceived, how you carry how you carry yourself. All of those things play a role, but it is something that we have to address holistically. But again, it's a little bit more bigger than just what we see on TV.
Police often don't live in the communities that they are policing. So not only are you fed a stereotype from images that you see on television, but you also don't live there. You don't know these people. You don't walk that block. That's not your beat. You don't patrol that neighborhood. And so that creates a sense of unknown, and it creates fear. And so at the same time, we also have to be cognizant that we're all human beings. And it's very, very important, like Summer said, you have to carry yourself in a manner that is respectful. You also have to know your history. I came up in Detroit Public Schools at a time where Black history was a part of my experience 365 days of the year. I knew where I came from. I knew, the things that our culture had contributed to making America a great place. And right now, I don't think we value our heritage as much, and then mainstream America doesn't value our heritage. So with that being said, police brutality is real, and because police do not stay in the communities oftentimes, they don't know you. They don't know you.
young black kids, let me just say this, because I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all. For real. Let me look y'all in y'all eyes and say this to y'all. You have to look in the mirror and check yourself. You have to look in the mirror and check yourself, especially young black men. Is police brutality real? Of course it is. A lot of times, we're not looking what leads up into these situations. I look at how many times I went to jail, and every time I went to jail, when I thought about it, I said, I was doing something stupid. Does police brutality happen? Yes. Can you avoid it? Yes. All of that acting crazy, man, it doesn't work. You gotta know how to keep yourself calm, how to act a certain way, and fix the problem the right way.
That's right.
All that mouthing off and acting crazy, you let these niggas get you in trouble if you want to. Make your own decisions. When you go to jail, you going in them cuffs by yourself. See, the homies gonna always, oh man, but when it come time for bond money, you calling mama. Where the homies at then? Where the homies at when you go to prison? The homies with you smoking every day when you go to prison, see how many of them will send you some money. See how many of them will go and check on your mama. So what I'm saying to y'all is, even everything we talking about, it's time for us to start checking ourselves. You decide whether you want to live or whether you want to die. You decide if you want to be successful or you want to be a bum. We can't blame police. We can't blame yourself. The only blame is you. You decide what you want to do.